one of America's most infamous haunted houses, a place where the walls could change size, where ghosts were unafraid of bullets, and where the foundation drove the men of the family to the brink of insanity. Yet, a place so heavily haunted bears a surprisingly poetic name, Summerwind Mansion. What devastating history, after all, transformed this heavenly estate into a hell on earth? Please hit that like and subscribe button, and comment where and at what time you are watching, so we can awaken the secrets buried here. Our story begins in the early 20th century, located on the shore of West Bay Lake in Vilas County, Wisconsin. This was initially just a simple fishing lodge. But in 1916, Robert Patterson Lamont, who would later become the U.S. Secretary of Commerce under President Herbert Hoover, purchased the property. Lamont was a powerful and wealthy man. He hired top architects from Chicago to renovate the site into a magnificent mansion. After 2 years of construction, Summerwind, then called Lamont Mansion, was completed. It was a stately building with a solid stone foundation and soaring chimneys, promising a wonderful retreat for the Lamont family. But right from the first days they moved in 1918, they realized something was profoundly wrong. The house staff began to whisper about a translucent woman staring at them from the courtyard. She would appear and disappear, bringing with her a chilling sense of dread. Lamont, a man of science and politics, initially dismissed it all, believing it was merely paranoia caused by the isolation of the wilderness. Until one fateful night in the mid-1930s, the Lamont couple was having dinner in the elegant kitchen. Suddenly, the door leading down to the basement began to rattle violently. The banging on the door was deafening, as if a wild beast, or some raging entity, was trying to smash the door open. Lamont, acting on his instinct to protect his family, grabbed his pistol and rushed towards the door. He yanked the door open, ready to confront the intruder, but no one was there. Only the pitch-black darkness and the deathly silence of the basement. He turned to walk away when suddenly, a figure materialized. The ghost of a man stood tall, blocking the basement exit. Terrified, Lamont fired his gun. 2 shots tore through the air, passed straight through the hazy figure, and lodged directly into the wooden door behind it. The ghost vanished, but the 2 bullet holes remained, serving as eternal proof of the terrifying event that night. Immediately following the incident, the Lamont family fled the house and never returned. The house was abandoned, beginning its long decay and waiting for its next victim. Time passed, and Summerwind changed hands many times, but no one dared to stay long. The Kiefer family bought it in the 1940s, but kept it only as an investment property. Mrs. Kiefer even refused to set foot inside the house due to an unseen fear. It wasn't until the early 1970s that Summerwind truly awakened its hunger. Arnold and Ginger Henshaw, a young couple with 6 children, were looking for a place to settle down. Ginger, from the first moment she saw the crumbling Summerwind, felt a strange compulsion. She felt the house was weeping, begging her to save it. Arnold, a building contractor, saw the house's potential, and they decided to buy it for renovation. But they didn't know that they had just signed the death warrant for their own happiness. As soon as they moved in, the strange occurrences began. Small objects would move on their own. Chairs in the dining room would shift. And always there was the feeling that someone was watching them from every dark corner. But the most frightening thing was Arnold's transformation. From a loving father, Arnold became distant, irritable, and dark. He grew obsessed with the old Hammond organ that had been left in the house. Every night, when the family was asleep, the organ music would sound. But Arnold didn't play normal songs. He played chaotic, ghostly melodies, repeating them all through the night with a terrifying frenzy. Arnold believed the demons in his head would only be silent if he continued to play. He told his wife that if he stopped, something terrible would happen. Arnold's madness escalated. One day, in an inexplicable rage, he grabbed an axe and killed the children's pet raccoon right in front of them. That was the sign that the family's patriarch had been completely consumed by the darkness, and the house seemed to transform with him. Ginger and the children frequently saw dark shadows gliding through the hallways. Once, Ginger saw the ghost of a woman hovering in the dining room. Another time, when she was preparing snacks for guests, a blood-curdling scream rang out. Their friends had seen the male apparition with a distorted, monstrous face appear right before their eyes. They fled in terror and never came back. The Henshaw children were not spared either. They were woken up by the sound of a baby crying echoing from the empty rooms, even though there was no baby in the house. The family's financial situation collapsed. Arnold lost his job, unable to pay the bills. Electricity and water were cut off. The harsh Wisconsin winter descended. The entire family had to huddle together in the living room, burning the house's own precious antique furniture for warmth. In that biting cold and starvation, the youngest daughter, April, made a horrifying discovery. While prying up a wooden floorboard for firewood, April saw a hidden recess in the wall, and inside that recess, grinning back at the little girl, was a human skeleton. A skull with empty eye sockets, and a few strands of hair still clinging to the dry scalp. Whose skeleton was it? A buried victim? A concealed death? No one knew, but it was the final straw. Ginger, fearing for her life and the lives of her children, decided to flee. She walked through the snowy woods to find help. Arnold was left behind and later committed to a mental institution. The marriage shattered, the family scattered. Summerwind had won once again. But the story doesn't end there. Raymond Bober, Ginger's father, didn't believe in ghosts, but was fascinated by Summerwind. He bought the house with the intention of turning it into a restaurant, despite his daughter's warnings. Bober wrote a book called The Carver Effect, in which he recounted his strange experiences. He claimed that the house had the ability to change shape. Carpenters and Bober himself noticed that the house's measurements constantly shifted. A room measured one size today would be wider or narrower tomorrow. Windows and doors seemed to move their position on their own. The architectural blueprints became useless against Summerwind's ghostly transformations. Bober believed the house was haunted by the spirit of Jonathan Carver, an 18th century explorer. According to Bober, Carver was searching for a land deed hidden somewhere in the foundation, certifying his claim to 1/3 of the state of Wisconsin. To find answers, Bober conducted seances and hypnosis sessions. In one terrifying ceremony, his son, Ray Jr., seemed to be possessed by an entity. Ray Jr., a tough Vietnam veteran, suddenly spoke in a deep, gravelly, hateful old voice. "I am strong, and my children are weak. I despise them all." It was also Ray Jr. who experienced a moment of terror when he went into the kitchen. He heard 2 deafening gunshots, smelled the pungent odor of gunpowder, a familiar scent from the battlefield, and saw 2 bullet holes on the cellar door, exactly like Lamont's story years ago. When he turned back, a ghost with a distorted face lunged at him, with eyes blazing like hellfire. Ray Jr. fled and swore never to return. Raymond Bober, obsessed with the imagined treasure, dug up the basement, searching for the box containing the land deed. He found a secret stone recess behind the wall, just as he had seen in his trance, but it was empty. Jonathan Carver, or whatever entity resided at Summerwind, played a cruel game with human sanity. Following the Bober family's failed efforts, Summerwind was abandoned again. It became a gathering place for local teenagers, vandals, and amateur ghost hunters. It became a nuisance to the authorities and neighbors. And then, nature or some supernatural force decided to end the monster's existence. On June 19th, 1988, a massive storm struck. Lightning tore through the night sky. A bolt struck Summerwind directly. The flames erupted violently, consuming the entire decaying wooden structure. The once magnificent mansion, holding so many tragedies, insanities, and mysteries, burned to ashes. Today, if you visit West Bay Lake, you can still find the ruins of Summerwind. The stone chimneys still stand tall amid the trees, like the skeletal fingers of a giant hand desperately clinging to life. Steps leading to nowhere, cracked foundations where overgrown plants thrive. Though the house is gone, local residents say the haunting has not ended. Visitors to the ruins still report seeing orbs of light circling the chimneys. They smell the acrid odor of smoke and burning, even though there is no fire. They hear whispers on the wind, and sometimes the silhouette of a woman in a white dress walking among the ruins. Recently, there have been rumors that someone wants to rebuild Summerwind. But would that be a good idea? Because it seems that anyone who tries to claim this land must pay with their peace of mind. Summerwind Mansion may be physically gone, but its dark energy seems to have seeped deep into the soil, into the roots of the trees, into every blade of grass. It still lies there, waiting. Thank you for listening to the story of Summerwind Mansion. What do you think about the theory that the house could change size? And whose skeleton was it that little April found? Share your thoughts in the comments section. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss the next installment of fascinating haunted house stories.